Welcome back, coworkers, to yet another full wave guide for the second Eggstra Work, where I'll try my best to show how to get a better high score during the event. And in this video we'll go through Wave 3 Low Tide Gone Fishing Hydro Plant, where me and my team managed to get a perfect score of collecting every single golden egg in our attempts, and I'll show you how you can do the same. First of all, important information is that our team decided to throw Wave 1 with only 19 golden eggs collected, as we find the alternative spawns much better in the following waves compared to going for a full hazard progression. And in fact, I actually recommend the same for most of you out there. But anyhow, this means that our Wave 3 is only 150% hazard level, and we get 3 less bosses, a stinger, a fish stick, and the final boss of the wave, a flyfish. So 3 quite annoying bosses are left out on this difficulty. With this minor change, the maximum golden eggs appearing during Wave 3 for us is 57 golden eggs, and we managed to collect all of them using our strategy. And if you're worried that dropping hazard level is detrimental to your high score, you can still get well over even 260 golden eggs, which will be way above the top 5% threshold. So with that aside, let's see how it's done. Just like I tweeted my first impressions, if I had to summarize Wave 3 in a single word, it is luring. Luring is essential during Wave 3 because most of the bosses spawning are all lureable bosses of steelheads, steel eels, scrappers, or salmon-lids, and they can all be easily lured back to the basket for easier egg collection. Another reason I would recommend luring here is that Gone Fishing Hydro Plant Low Tide is one of the most notorious low tides, where if you shore rush, you will end up clogging the middle bridge full of golden eggs and salmonids at the same time, unable to collect anything since it will be too crowded, which you could see in my first impressions video too. Because of this, we start the wave immediately by standing way back at the spawn and waiting for the first wave of bosses to get closer. So a steel eel, a steelhead, and a drizzler. As they get closer to the basket, I rush in to quickly splat all of them using the steelhead bomb explosion, while 2 of our teammates takes care of the flyfish spawning in the back with 2 fast splat bombs. This is important since it's the only flyfish spawning, and don't worry about the eggs since we will be using a snatcher to collect them so we don't hold up the next wave of bosses, but even if you do it, it's not too big of a deal. Once all of the first wave bosses are splatted, get as many eggs as possible into the basket, then fall back once again to lure the next batch of incoming bosses, which will be 2 steelheads, a drizzler, and a fish stick. So again, all of them can be lured except for the fish stick that lands in the back left platform, and it is highly recommended to splat since it will be annoying otherwise to collect eggs. The heavy splatling or anyone really can take care of the fish stick there fast after the 2 steelheads and the drizzler has been lured back to the basket. And once again, you don't have to collect the eggs since the snatcher will be able to pick them up for you. Just remember to splat them while they return. The next part will be crucial in this wave since this is when 3 salmon-lids will be coming towards you along with other bosses, and it is vital to get them on this side of the bridge to avoid the traffic jam I mentioned at the start of the wave. So make sure to stand back, and it will also help you lure the next steelhead, steel eel, and scrapper closer at the same time. As you noticed, we still try to get as many eggs as possible during these breaks, but don't stress too much about the eggs and don't get greedy. Since most of the gathering will be done in the last 20 seconds of the wave, you just focus on and make sure all the eggs are as close to the basket as possible. Luring is much more important than gathering at the beginning. Once all of the lids and the steel eel are close, you can go all out to splat them, starting with the eel, while one of your coworkers can trigger the first salmon lid and just climb it up and use it to splat the others from above, which should be quite easy, and this is where you should be nearing at around the 20 seconds threshold as well, where I use a wave breaker at the middle of the bridge to clean up the remaining lessers, since all the bosses are splatted except for a few moths that you can just splat with a splat bomb, and at this point your whole team should only be focusing at collecting eggs. And by overfishing rules, you start from the far eggs and get closer and closer to the basket for efficiency, and if you've done everything right, you should be close to, if not have already gathered, all the 57 golden eggs available during Wave 3. As you could see, Wave 3 is all about luring and letting the bosses closer to the basket, and it's actually a super fun wave to optimize since it doesn't have any of the super annoying bosses or situations to deal with. It's all core fundamentals of Salmon Run, the very basic strategies of the game mode, or I could say the heart of the game mode, so it's really well made wave in my opinion. It might take a little practice, but I really recommend using this strategy for a perfect Wave 3, and if you decided to go for the 21 golden egg route, the wave looks relatively the same. You just have to look out for more snatchers for those extra static bosses that spawn, but it should be doable with a little bit of practice. But that's a wrap for a quick walkthrough over our perfect score of Wave 3 for the second Eggstra Work. Hopefully this was helpful and understandable, even though we only had my perspective available. But as always, if you have any questions about the specifics or certain sections of the wave, do let me know in the comments and I will answer as best I can. Thank you for watching everyone and all the support. Good luck on your Eggstra Work, and if you're looking for more guides, make sure to check out the rest of the channel. Take care everyone, and I'll see you the next time.